So, John, who is your least favourite teacher in high school?
Well, for legal reasons, I'm obviously not going to name any names. But there was definitely a few. I don't think there were any who had like a personal vendetta against me in the way that this film seems to. But there was one who was a fair old racist and spent a lot of time teaching us about how the Western world shouldn't give aid to like African countries that were having like droughts and famines and diseases because that's just nature's way of keeping populations down. Which was, in retrospect, a very disturbing thing to try and teach to young children.
Yeah, I can see that he taught you well, because that's rubbed off quite a lot.
I mean, I am now a notorious racist, yes, and a white supremacist. He was also very scary. He used to insist that we all work in silence, and we'd all be writing down essays or whatever, and he'd be like leaning back in his chair, you know, the way people do. And in one lesson, in a deadly silent like test environment, he was leaning backwards, and his chair fell over, and he fell right over backwards, legs right in the air. And he got up. Everyone was so shocked because he was the scariest teacher. So he utterly humiliated himself. So obviously there was nervous laughter, and then he just got up and he sat down, didn't say a thing, just sat there, like folded his arms and just stared for the rest of the lesson. And there's like 45 minutes left of the lesson. Didn't say a word. Nobody dared to speak. The bell rang for lunch break. He didn't move. He didn't say a word. We all just sat and stared. Everyone was terrified. About 10 minutes into lunch, someone very brave, not me, stood up and very slowly kind of started walking towards the door. And then as he got to the door, this teacher, who shall remain nameless, turned to him and said, "Oh, goodbye then." And then everyone else got up and left. And it was never spoken of again. He was truly terrifying.
Wow. Oh, that's great. That is my aspiration.
Well, not the racist part, just the scary part.
Not the racist part or the falling off the chair part, but just having that level of fear.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. I think you can get there.
Well, enjoy the rest of the podcast where I will not be saying a word.
Oh, great.
I'll be staring at you intently.
That'd be great for the listeners.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Hello everybody, welcome to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where today we are pitching prequels, sequels and spin-off ideas to the 90s satire Election. We'll also be pitching some drinking games and hearing from our listeners with the ideas they have posted on our Facebook and Twitter pages. But first, we're going to talk about some of our favourite moments from the original movie and catch you up with its plot summary. I'm Harry, the host with the most.
Oh God.
Body fat. And joining me as always, the host with slightly less body fat, but still some. It's John Lucas.
I can live with that intro. That's cool. It started off in a place and then it went to a place I quite liked.
I'm sure it'll vary.
Yeah. Much like your body mass.
Oh. And clearly yours too.
Oh, wow, okay.
So Election,
yes.
Your choice, John.
This was my choice, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say good film, well done.
Thank you, I'm glad you enjoyed this. I suspected you might enjoy this, yeah. Yeah, this is fun. I've not watched this in a very long time.
I wasn't expecting anything from this. I really didn't know what I was in for. I wasn't sure if, like, is this just going to be a political campaign film? Like, that doesn't sound very fun. Also, you said, like, it's thematic because there might be a British election soon. And I was like, so this is Brexit the movie? Like, this, this isn't, no. And I saw Matthew Broderick, I was like, this still doesn't bode too well. Reese Witherspoon, okay, I'm in. I know that she means business, especially in a film of this age.
Well, this was Reese Witherspoon's real breakout performance. Like, this is the thing that made... It wasn't the first thing she did that made her, like, well-known. She'd done Cruel Intentions and Pleasantville. Do you know Pleasantville?
Yeah.
She'd done those, but it was before, like, Legally Blonde or Walk the Line or all the things. Yeah. So this is one of her big, like, breakout performances. And justifiably so, because she's very funny in this. Yeah. And very, very good. Like, as is Matthew Broderick.
Yes.
I've realised now, because we joked about how Matthew Broderick is like the most average, not the most average actor. That sounds like it's a comment on his talents, but he's just
he's plain. He's just average straight white man.
He is very much that. And so for me, I think he doesn't really work as like a romantic lead or like a hero because you just don't buy it. But when he's playing,
that's why that Godzilla film never worked.
Exactly, that kind of thing. Exactly. And I can't remember now. Was he kind of supposed to be the hero in Cable Guy, or was he a bit more complicated than that?
No, I think he was just supposed to be a normal person.
Which he can kind of get away with.
Bouncing off Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
which works, and like he wasn't happy about it, and that works fine.
Yeah, exactly. So he can do that. But I like him the most when he's playing quite pathetic people. Like, and he's in this film, he is pathetic in a way that is really enjoyable. Yeah. And then he did another film around the same time called You Can Count on Me, which is quite similar, where he again plays a bank manager who's just really petty, and it's kind of similar. So these are the Broderick performances that I really like, and I think it's a very good, a good cast on the whole. But those two in particular are fantastic.
Ethics are rules of conduct.
Tracy Flick. Tracy Flick. I'd seen a lot of ambitious students come and go over the years, but Tracy Flick, she was a special case.
Some people say I'm an overachiever, but I think they're just jealous. My mom always tells me I'm different, special. And if you look at all the things I've accomplished so far, I think you'd have to agree.
Okay, do you want to give us a plot summary then?
Sure, yeah. So Election was directed and written by Alexander Payne, who also is responsible for films we've done in the past. Well, I think Sideways is the only one of his we've done in the past. Yeah. But he also did About Schmidt, The Descendants, Citizen Ruth, which is a really good underrated film, and a film that we haven't done on this podcast, but that we did on Beyond the Box Set, which is, of course, Downsizing. Oh. So he's hit and miss. Yeah. He has highs, he has lows, This, for me, is definitely a high for him. It's early in his career. So, yeah, he always does these very good, character studies, when they work. It's Sideways, for me, I know people have different opinions on it, is a very good, character-driven film about these characters who are, a bit pathetic. Not as pathetic as these characters, but, certainly not 100% likable in many ways. Yeah. But it's just, you just enjoy going on the road with them. I think when we did Napoleon Dynamite a couple of weeks ago, I was saying how I struggled a bit with that film because I didn't like anyone in it. And this is the kind of film when I was talking about, and again, it's just a personal taste thing, where there's not anyone, well, there are likable characters in this, but the main two characters, Matthew Broderick and Reese Witherspoon, are both awful human beings. Yes. But they're still fun to watch because...
Well, I found that as the film went on, it kind of makes you realise that Reese Witherspoon isn't that awful a human being.
Well, we'll get into that completely. Yeah, she's not a villain, particularly. No. But she's not a good person either, though. She definitely has, He's worse. He is a terrible human being. Not? I mean, this is a big debate. Tracy Flick, the character Reese Witherspoon plays, is genuinely an iconic character. The character has her own Wikipedia page, and there's only this one film. There's the whole franchise around her. It's come to represent, this idea of why women often struggle in politics and in business, and how women who aren't quote unquote likable aren't given many opportunities to succeed. Hillary Clinton is constantly compared to this character. When she was running for president a couple of years ago, everyone was like, "Oh, Hillary Clinton, she's Tracy Flick." She wants it too badly. Yeah, it's that, and that's very unfair. And absolutely, she's not. I mean, we'll get into it as we talk about the plot, but absolutely, she's nowhere near as bad as Matthew Broderick's character, who is just an awful person.
It's great, isn't it?
But it's done in such a good way.
Fantastic way. Yeah. What was that bit at the start when he was emptying out the fridge? Was he just making space?
I think
was he throwing away other people's food, or was he emptying out old food from the fridge?
No, he was definitely throwing out other people's food, but also old food. I mean, if you've ever worked in an office scenario, especially in a big office, that is a constant source of stress when people just leave food in the fridge and it gets really annoying. Yeah. So I think he's just that guy.
But it didn't look like he was doing it in an official manner.
Oh, no.
Because also, I'd be even more annoyed if somebody threw out my lunch.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I brought him my lunch, somebody deemed it not worthy and then just threw it in the bin. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. One of the things that I found really entertaining about this film is that obviously this film has a lot of voiceover. It's got 4 different characters all doing voiceover at various points. You've got Matthew Broderick, Reese Witherspoon, Chris Klein, and Jessie, the sister. They all have their own narratives. Yeah. But normally when you get narration in films like voiceovers, it's here's the film telling you what it really means. Whereas this film, they're either lying or they're just delusional. And I think he's definitely a mix of he's definitely the most delusional. So he obviously thinks he's this really nice guy and everyone likes him. But I bet people, well, you can tell people don't like him. Probably because he goes into the class first thing in the morning and throws everyone's food away. Yeah. You see, because you get that great callback when the janitor walks past and sees he's throwing food on the floor.
Fantastic callback.
It's an amazing callback. Yeah. And just gives him this dirty look and walks on. So you can tell he's not, I don't think he is supposed to be particularly well liked. Yeah, but he paints this picture of himself as being this amazing teacher who everybody loves and who he just loves to teach. But obviously, as the film goes on, you see how he's just a huge phony in many ways. and doesn't care at all about the kids. Like, it seems. Well, he certainly hates Tracy.
Yeah, I liked his hate for her because it was pretty much just like, she's going to do really well in life and get everything handed to her on a silver plate because she's that kind of person. So I'm not going to let that happen. And like, cool, I can see why this is a straight white man's point of view.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, it's like he really resents her, but it's like he's her teacher. Like it doesn't seem like he's in any way interested in like making her a better person, which is his job as a teacher. Like, I can understand, because she is very hyper ambitious and she is quite ruthless and not in many ways not a very nice person, but she's also a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can see why him saying, well, you know what, rather than let her run unopposed for election, maybe it would be healthy for her to actually experience some competition.
I could see that, that's fine.
But his way of going about it is not to try and teach her any valuable lessons. It is just he wants to humiliate and destroy her.
Yeah.
And that is clear from very early on in the film. Like, he just really hates her.
Yeah.
The sight of Tracy at that moment affected me in a way I can't fully explain. Part of it was that she was spying, but mostly it was her face. Who knew how high she would climb in life? How many people would suffer because of her? I had to stop her. Now.
So, yes, basically, before the events of this film, Reese Witherspoon's character, who is supposed to be like 15, 16 years old, another teacher in the school who was Matthew Broderick's best friend, basically had a relationship with her, and they slept together, and then he got found out and he got fired, understandably so.
Yeah.
And then his wife divorced him, and then he moved away. And it turns out that Matthew Broderick kind of resents Reese Witherspoon's character for what happened to his friend. Like, he never really says it out loud, but he obviously does kind of blame her. And he just doesn't like her very much. She rubs him up the wrong way. She's too enthusiastic. She tries too hard. And she's running for class president, which is a very American concept that we don't really have here, I don't think.
No, and I can see why.
Yeah, because I don't think it's healthy. I understand teaching kids about democracy,
Like, when it gets to the end and the other character that you're going to get to, he's like, well, you know, I know I got class president, but I did get prom king and like homecoming king. Like, why are there these positions?
American schools just seems to be a constant parade of popularity contests.
Yeah, it sounds awful.
Yeah, we don't really do that in Britain.
No.
So I think we realise that that's just not good for kids' self-esteem unless they're right at the top. Anyway, so Reese Witherspoon's character, Tracy Flick, she is running for class president, unopposed. She's the only person running. And Matthew Broderick finds that idea quite disturbing, and so he convinces a popular, rich jock kid, played by Chris Klein, to run against her.
Yeah.
To give her some competition and hopefully to kind of knock her down a peg or two. And then the film kind of follows those two characters as they campaign for their various elections.
Well, you've jumped over an entire character.
Oh, okay, yes, sorry, there's a third
Chris
candidate.
Klein's brother, who I think is the best character in the film.
Oh, no, she was great. Well, we'll get to it all after the credits when we talk about favourite moments. But
Okay, yeah.
yes, oh, sorry, there's also a third candidate running, which is Chris Klein's character's sister, Tammy, I think she's called.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, who is only running to get back at her brother because she was in a relationship or had a massive crush on another girl in school, her best friend, who then dumped her and then got with Chris Klein instead. And Chris Klein is clueless about all of this. He doesn't realise that that's... I mean, he's comedically clueless in the whole thing. And he doesn't realise that his sister even has like an axe to grind against him or why she would possibly be resentful. But anyway, she runs as well to kind of go against him and also against her former best friend who is now kind of running his campaign. So basically you've got Tracy Flick standing on a very kind of, I've done all the hard work so I deserve this ticket. Chris Klein running on a I'm the most popular kid, everyone loves me ticket. And then the sister, Jessie, running on a fuck this shit, who gives a shit.
Which everybody loves.
Which really everybody loves and turns everyone on, So it's these three different kind of approaches to politics based in a high school. And then Tracy Flick has a bit of a tantrum at a certain point in the film and rips down a bunch of Chris's posters. But she doesn't get caught because Jessie finds out that she did it. She sees her throwing the posters away. But she takes the fall for it. She pretends she did it because she wants to get expelled so she can go to Catholic school.
Is that why she wanted to do that? Why she did it?
Yeah, because you see her on the football pitch watching all the Catholic schoolgirls playing football. And she's like, I want in on that.
Yeah.
And so she decides she wants to get expelled.
Got it.
Yes. So she gets expelled and ends up just being Chris Klein versus Tracy Flick. I can't remember what Chris Klein's character was called, I'm afraid. No. Paul, I think, maybe? Is it Paul?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, it goes down to the wire. She wins by a single vote, helped by the fact that sweet Chris Klein can't even bring him to vote for himself, so he votes for her. Matthew Broderick is responsible for counting the votes with some of the students, and when he finds out that she's won, he just can't hack it. He's already had a bad day because his marriage has fallen apart because his affair has been exposed. He's been stung by a wasp.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to. So he throws two ballot papers away so it looks like Chris Klein won by 1 point.
Yeah.
Crushing Tracy Flick's dreams. But then he gets found out and ultimately fired, and Tracy Flick goes on to become the president, and he loses his job.
And I liked that he moved to Washington for whatever reason and then did actually bump into her, kind of. And it's just a fantastic reaction as well.
It's just so pathetic. I keep saying that word pathetic, but it's so perfectly pathetic at the end. She obviously does well because she's the kind of person who is going to do well in life. And he sees her like working for the government or something, or for a politician, and you still get his voiceover and he's like, oh, I'm so much happier now. I've got a new relationship and a new job. I don't even think about those days anymore, and I've grown so much. Who the fuck does she think she is?
Yeah.
And there's just the utter tragicness of him just flinging his milkshake at her and then just running away into the distance. It's just great.
Yeah. Very good.
I'll never know if she saw me. Probably not. But in that moment, all the bad memories, all the things I'd ever wanted to say to her, it all came flooding back. My first impulse was to run over there, pound on her window, and demand that she admit she tore down those posters and lied and cheated her way into winning that election. But instead, I just stood there. And I suddenly realized I wasn't angry at her anymore. I just felt sorry for her. I mean, when I think about my new life and all the exciting things I'm doing, and then I think about what her life must be like, probably still getting up at 5 a.m. to pursue her pathetic little dreams, it just makes me sad. I mean, where is she really trying to get to anyway? And what is she doing in that limo? Who the fuck does she think she is?
And that's pretty much the plot.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
But the most fun of this film is just all the stuff that happens around that as it's happening, because it's just a very well-written, very funny film.
Yeah.
What were some of your favourite moments?
Well, I particularly liked all the election speeches.
Yes. Oh, that's one of the great scenes.
They were great because they all perfectly summed up everybody.
Absolutely.
Tracy Flick's very much just like, I believe in this and this amazing thing and this, and everybody should be equal, and we'll all live happily ever after, pretty much.
Yeah. It's like she's very much rehearsed how to write a political speech.
Exactly, yeah.
It's very like soulless but professional.
Yeah. And then the other guy, who I've forgotten even the actor's name, so I'm just going to call him Chad, because that feels
Chris
like...
Klein.
Cool. So Chad then does a speech, which
okay,
is...
he's just Chad now, fine.
Which, he's clearly pre-written, and then he's just reading off a sheet, and I wasn't listening to the speech.
No.
I found it difficult to listen to, as I'm sure was the point.
Yeah. He just puts his head right down and just like, he's got this pre-written speech, and he just does it all in this flat monotone.
He reads it with no commas, no full stops. Yeah. And, it's no good. And he looks up and, he looks a bit too early. His name drags out on the microphone. Nobody can really hear him. And people are like, yeah, cool. Like, he got a great applause when he came on, but nothing afterwards.
Yeah. The opposite of what happens to his sister.
Yeah. She then comes on, gets taunted at the start because I guess she got bullied because she's weird. She's different.
Yeah. She seems not to have many friends or any friends.
Yeah. And then she just pulls out a banger of a speech.
Hers is absolutely the best.
Yeah, it's great. Because she's just like, fuck this, I don't care, do whatever you want.
Neither do you, let's be honest, you don't care.
This thing's crap anyway, nobody wants to be here, so let's just get this over and done with, and I would drop the mic if I could.
Yeah.
And then she just walks away to a round of applause and gets kicked out of the election because the teachers are scared that she's broken the system.
Pretty much, yeah.
Who cares about this stupid election? We all know it doesn't matter who gets elected president of Carver. Do you really think it's going to change anything around here? Make one single person smarter, or happier, or nicer? The only person it does matter to is the one who gets elected. The same pathetic charade happens every year. And everyone makes the same pathetic promises, just so they can put it on their transcripts to get into college. So vote for me, because I don't even want to go to college, and I don't care. And as president, I won't do anything. The only promise I will make is that, if elected, I will immediately dismantle the student government, so that none of us will ever have to sit through one of these stupid assemblies again. me. Who cares? Don't vote at all.
So, okay, here's a question. Based on the 3 campaigns before she gets kicked out, who would you have voted for?
Probably her, I think. I don't know, though.
I mean, the thing is, this film is obviously like...
Before the speeches?
Yeah.
It's difficult to say, because like, you wouldn't know anything before the speeches.
No, true, exactly. But like, I think this film is very interesting from a political perspective, obviously, about like, because it's obviously like a satire of like real world politics and adult politics, and like, obviously this film came out in 1999, so it couldn't possibly have known how the world was going to go.
Yeah.
But basically, it felt to me like her speech, even though she's nowhere near as she's not a bad character in the way that Donald Trump is a bad human being, but that was like a very populist speech. She wasn't promising to make anything better. She was just saying what people wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And it's a great speech.
Yeah.
But it isn't actually, it doesn't have any substance. It's just like, fuck this shit. Vote for me to fuck shit up. Which is more or less kind of, the Donald Trump approach.
Yeah.
And it worked, Tracy Flick is obviously our Hillary Clinton, very professional. She's definitely the most qualified, but hard to like.
Yeah.
And then Chris Klein is just the one everyone likes. But again, he doesn't really have any substance. He's not qualified for the job. So, yeah. Apparently this is Barack Obama's favourite political movie.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Who was your favourite character then? Was it her? Do you think the sister?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I was quite upset that she basically got written out of it halfway through.
They did get rid of her, yeah.
Yeah, which was a big shame, because she was the most interesting part of the film. Not that other people were boring, but just she had a lot more going on, and I was just more intrigued by her as a character.
Yeah.
And just to see what her story entailed. But it was very quick. Like, she got expelled, and that's it, basically. We caught up with her a tad at the end, and everything worked out. That was it. I'd have liked to see more. Like, maybe she gets into Catholic school or whatever it is, and actually doesn't like it.
Yeah. Well, she does. We found out at the end that she does like it.
Yeah,
she
but
has
like,
a girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I'd like to see the journey there. Like, maybe she doesn't like
Sure.
it, and something happens, and she does make one friend there eventually, and then that friend shows her the good ways of Catholicism or whatever. I don't know. Just something, just a bit of a journey there.
Yeah, I think that's not really the story the film is telling. It's more about how elections work and how obviously before Donald Trump, what these wild card candidates would get knocked out very quickly, and then you get to like this quote unquote serious candidates.
Close the door. I tell you, that little bitch made a fool out of us. I want her out of this election. I'm getting everybody all riled up like that. She is washed up. You understand me? She's finished.
Well, we can't throw her out of the election just because we don't like her speech. That's not what student government is about.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, I guess, should we go to some drinking games? Maybe?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So the first one I've got here is drink for Reese Witherspoon's ever-changing hair.
Oh, yes. I mean, I loved all the flashback wigs. This is a great 90s hair movie, definitely.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed it on the subject of hair. I really loved Chris Klein's 90s curtains.
Yes.
So very 90s.
Yep. Flashback to my childhood.
Do you think you could? Did you have curtains?
No, my brother did.
Your brother did. Do you reckon you could do a curtain?
No, my hair goes too up.
Oh,
even
naturally
when
elevates?
it's long, like it's practically long now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's getting a bit. I'm just trying to imagine if you were to like wet it or something, or like put a bit of gel in it. Could you create a curtain effect, or is there too much of a gap in the middle, or
Gap in the middle? A parting?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Curtains would need a parting in the middle.
Well, sure.
Like,
Could you create a
side
curtain
parting
effect?
anyway.
I'm asking you, like.
I don't think so.
No, but what would stop you?
My hair's not loose enough. It stays too much in shape. To have curtains, it needs to sort of fall down.
I see. Okay, it's not flexible enough.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. But yes, great 90s hair in this film. Drink for freeze frame.
Okay.
This film has excellent use of freeze frame. I like how it always freezes on very unflattering angles of people.
Very bad faces. Yeah.
So there's a very early one where Tracy Flick is in the middle of answering a question. It just freezes on her in a very unflattering facial position and stays there for a long time while Matthew Broderick talks about all the reasons he doesn't like it. And it's almost like he's editing the movie of the movie. Like he's like, this is how I want you to see it. Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think the camera work in this film is generally like not flashy because it's obviously a low budget film. So it's not like there's loads of effect or any effects, obviously. And it's quite grainy. It's got that real 90s grainy kind of look to it. I think it was obviously shot on film.
I guess. Yeah.
But yeah, I just like the way that they do that. I like the use of the sex scene when the heads just come floating in, and it looks really cheap, but intentionally so. Drink every time a new voiceover is introduced.
Sure. Yeah.
Quite rare for a film to have 4 narrators.
Yes,
I don't think I've ever seen that before, but I like it.
Drink for bad driving effects.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I love this in a 90s movie.
Yeah.
I love a good 90s driving sequence when it's just someone on a set in front of like a screen just doing way too much steering, doing far too much turning of a steering wheel for someone who's driving in a straight line.
Yeah.
Yeah, always a good time.
Drink for torn posters.
Ooh, yes. So there's a great scene in this film when Tracy Flick is trying to put up one of her posters and the corner keeps falling down. And then she gets up on stands on a bin or a stool to kind of get it, to put it back together, slips and then rips it down. And then she has the most fabulous tantrum and just starts screaming and pulling down all of the posters.
Yeah, I love that bit.
It's a great scene. Reese Witherspoon, I think, she's a really good actress, but not just being like very funny in this. I think she's really good physically in this. Like she does a really good physical comedy performance. Like the way she's all really like so stiff all the time, and like she really like holds herself in this very like stiff, serious, way.
Yeah.
But when she like has these tantrums, and or when she like finds out she's won, when she spies through the glass and then she starts bouncing up and down all around the hall, like all of her reactions are just brilliant. Like she's very good like physical performance. So, I don't know, I thought she was really great in this. And she's someone I respect, but not someone I'm normally that excited about. But I thought in this she was really, really good. On the subject of posters, my next one is drink for campaign slogans.
Okay,
the ones that are on the poster. Basically, because Chris's character, who was called Paul, it was Paul Meltzer. He had fantastic campaign slogan game. I don't know whether it was him or I guess it was his girlfriend, because he didn't seem like he was the smart sharpest tool. But like Tracy Flick saw just like pick Flick or vote for Flick or who cares? I care. Like really humorless,
Yeah.
But his art, I kept spotting more. They were always really funny. It was like Paul Metzler, you Betzler.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Paul won't drop the ball. Paul stands tall. It was just all these really amazing. Maybe it was him. Just all these amazing like cheesy rhymes that I just thought were really, really funny. I enjoyed all of those. Yeah. And I think Jesse's were just like, vote for Jesse, who cares? I don't think she even bothered.
No. And I think the last one I've got is drink whenever a man does something wrong.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, yes, absolutely, sure. I don't think Tracy Flick is like innocent in this film. She's just like,
What does she do wrong?
Well, she tears down the posters.
Okay, yeah, she has that one.
She has a tantrum, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying no. She's absolutely hard done by in this film, but it's not. I don't think you're meant to think that she's a complete victim. I think it's one of those films where it's fun to just dislike everyone. I think the imbalance.
I don't really see what's wrong with it. She tears down a poster because she's pushed and pushed and pushed to her absolute limit.
Sure.
By people being absolute horrible people to her.
Absolutely, but if she was a little bit nicer.
Yeah, but it's just like saying if she smiled more.
Okay, I see your point. Fine. Yeah. Okay, maybe this is my ingrained. I'm
like, other than that, she didn't do anything. She just tried hard.
No, I mean, she did win fair and square in the end.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe she tried too hard to be popular, but clearly not, because she won fair and square.
Absolutely, yeah. So I guess. Well, actually, one of my favourite funny details.
And a bitter man just tried to take that away from her.
That is true. Yeah, I think the thing is that like normally in other like teen films like Mean Girls and Heathers and all those kind of films where you've got bitchy teens versus nice people. It's teens versus teens. So it's like you can pick a side and not feel like. Whereas this film, I think what makes it interesting is that if Tracy Flick is a bit of a villain or is portrayed as a bit of a villain, like it's not a fair fight because she's up against an adult who should know better. And that's why you kind of sympathise with her, because he should be taking the high ground and he consistently does not take the high ground. So my last one is vote for bad sex. Or just vote for like uncomfortable sex scenes.
Do you mean drink for bad sex?
Vote for bad. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I've just.
I do not like your campaign.
I've unveiled my campaign too fast. Yeah, sorry. Drink for. It's a winner. Who wouldn't vote for that? Sorry. Drink for bad sex scenes. Which there are quite a lot. A lot of Broderick sex in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's at least 3 Matthew Broderick sex scenes in this film.
It's more than most.
Yep, true. I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. It's just
probably not a good thing. Let's be honest.
Not a great thing.
No.
Well, bless him. Another thing about his character is that he obviously isn't in love with his wife anymore, if he ever was, and just has no interest in her whatsoever. But they're trying for a baby, so they're having sex, and he's trying like going off to something in his head. And he starts fantasizing about his friend's wife at first, who he does have this crush on.
Yeah.
And then Tracy Flick kind of invades the fantasy, but it seems like he's quite happy with that. Like she's saying all these, she's like saying like,
odd.
Well, yeah. And bear in mind, this is like a 15-year-old girl, so it's like this is when you realise if there was any doubt that his character is just awful.
And there's that scene as well where he's watching porn, and it's like
it's high school porn.
Yeah,
very telling. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, everyone watches porn, obviously, but yeah, the scene he's obviously watching high school porn. It's like, oh, you are a bit skeevy. Well, very skeevy. Like,
yeah, it's just awful.
Oh, God. Oh, just like that. Yeah. Fill me up. Fill me up. Oh, yeah. Fill me up.
Oh, God. Just like that. Oh, yeah. Fill me up.
God. Oh, God. Oh,
Oh,
just
God.
like that.
Just like that.
Oh, yeah.
Do it,
Fuck
Jim.
me.
Fuck
Oh,
me.
yeah. Fill
Do
me
it,
up.
Jim. Just like that.
Oh,
Do it, Jim. Fill me up.
yes.
Just like that. Do it, Mr. M. Do it.
Fill
Fuck
me
me, Mr. M. Fuck me. Fuck me hard, Mr. McAllister. Harder. Harder. Fuck me, Mr. McAllister. Fuck me hard. Harder. Fuck me. Please.
So, like I was saying, things were going pretty well in my life.
Okay, well, before we start pitching our sequels, I just want to let your listeners know that if you had fun with this episode or any of its prequel episodes, should we call them past episodes, prequel episodes?
Sure, if that's the way you want to go. Previous episodes, any previous episodes, sure.
Yeah. Then please consider becoming a Patreon of ours by going to patreon.com/beyondtheboxset. So there we run a pay-as-you-feel system. We're different to some other Patreon people. So whatever you think we're worth is what we'll be grateful to receive, and you get all the benefits no matter what you pay, no matter what you donate.
Great stuff.
So these include a second episode a week of a spin-off show that we do called Beyond the Box Set, where each week we review a cinema release. These films range from anything like the latest Marvel release to even small-budget indie films, which normally we don't expect that we're going to see, and then we just kind of enjoy something brand new.
Well, I mean, we don't actively avoid independent releases. It's just that you always drag me to see the latest bloody Marvel DC piece of crap.
Oh, sorry.
It's alright, because tonight I'm taking it to see Hustlers. so-
Mr. I'm going to lump in Marvel and DC into the same genre, because that's what they are. All right.
I like a Marvel film, but, I like variety.
Yeah, sure. Well, what I'm saying is sometimes we get surprised by what we see.
True, which is always fun.
Yeah. And like, how often do you look forward to a small budget indie film? It's rare because they don't often get announced, or trailers.
They don't get the same level of hype.
Exactly, yeah.
No, that's
It's normally like you read a review and then like 2 days later you go and see it.
Sure. Fine, okay.
Anyway.
Sorry to interrupt. Please continue.
So also as a Patreon, once a month you get a chance to put a 30-second advert on our main show where you can talk about anything you like. It can be your own podcast, your business, or just your favourite brand of washing up liquid.
I mean, sure.
And finally, the last thing you can get, once a month, we pick a Patreon supporter to pick the film for the main show. So you can guest on it in person, you can guest online, or you can not guest at all, and we'll do it anyway. It's up to you, you're the boss. The film can be anything, as long as it's not a sequel, and we haven't already done it.
Yeah,
Basically. So all that's available at patreon.com/beyondtheboxset.
Indeed.
Let's see, Alex. What do you think of Jaws, which is at 97% Rotten Tomatoes?
I find it to be anti-shark propaganda. What do you feel about the Entourage movie, which is at a meager 33%?
I think they finally got Hollywood right. How about It Follows, 97%?
Worse than your parents giving you the sex is evil talk. How do you feel about Juno, which is at 94%?
That would be a movie that celebrates a teenage homewrecker. How about Bewitched at 25%?
Best television adaptation ever put to film. How do you feel about American Hustle at a towering 93%?
Overwrought awards bait. Righteous Kill, 19%.
The movie that Michael Mann wishes he had made when he created Heat.
Sounds about right. I'm Julio.
I'm Alex, and we are the Contrarians.
As you can tell, our thing is that we rage against the Rotten Tomatoes machine.
Regardless of what we really feel.
Find us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn,
Facebook, Twitter, we're everywhere.
So I guess I'll go first, because it's yours or whatever. I don't know, I don't care.
That's the enthusiasm we love in this podcast.
Okay, so this one, it's a sequel. It's going to pick up a few years later. Not 20 years later, but...
Okay, just some... How long are we talking? 5, 10, 15?
Yeah, 5 years maybe, sort of thing.
So Tracy Flick is now about 20, 25?
I guess. She's not in this.
Okay, fine. Okay, cool.
Following Matthew Broderick.
Okay, that's easier to imagine age-wise, because, I mean, they're both aged. It's been 20 years, but
yeah.
Obviously the journey from 20 to 44, whatever Reese Witherspoon is now, a bit different from 37 to, I guess, 50-something.
Yeah.
I've not seen him recently, but...
I've seen him in some more recent things. He is looking his age, but, I mean, just slap a wig on him.
Sure. Always our answer, just slap a wig.
Bit of makeup.
Fair enough.
You know, maybe a girdle?
A girdle?
Is that what like William Shatner wears?
Yeah, that straps it down your body for a bit, yeah.
Great.
Go on.
I assume.
Yeah, you're wearing one now.
Do I look like I'm wearing one now? So it's a few years later, he's still working in a museum. He's got good at his job, as far as we know.
Okay.
And he's got himself a fairly decent house and also a girlfriend.
Okay.
He's come clean about his version of events of his previous life. You know, about his ex-wife being a crazy bitch and how he lost his job because some slutty student was trying to sleep with him.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. But one day at work, he goes in and his boss, the curator of the museum.
Yeah, sure, museum curator. That sounds plausible.
Yeah, I know museum have curators. Don't know if they're like the boss. Whatever. They announced that they're going to be leaving in a few months' time. Well, they announced two things. One, they're going to be leaving in a few months' time, and they're looking for somebody to take the job. And also that there's going to be a few new people starting down at the bottom. So there's going to be 3 people who come in on probation. They're all trying out for a single role.
I see, okay.
So we introduced some new people. One of them is probably just going to be a very quiet, sort of very in themselves person who's just not going to be very good at anything, really.
Okay, so it's an introvert.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There's going to be somebody else who's basically the popular kid. He's just a guy who gets on with everybody. He's everybody's best friend, but when it actually comes down to it, he's not very good at memorizing things.
Okay. I'm sensing a theme.
You're seeing a theme here, yeah.
So these people like young, like early 20s, looking for their first job in the museum industry kind of thing, like up and comers.
I think sort of early to late 20s, because we've also cast Anna Kendrick.
Oh, sure, okay, great.
Yeah. Who I looked up, she's 34, let's say she's late 20s.
Yeah, she can pull it off. She
definitely works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she's going to be that, and she's going to be the try-hard one. Like, she's not going to be that popular, but she is going to be really good at being a tour guide.
She's our Tracy Flick.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can really absolutely see that for her.
It works, doesn't it?
Yeah, she could definitely play that role.
Yeah. So over the coming weeks, Matthew Broderick has to tutor these people and work out who's the best person to keep.
Oh, is he in charge of hiring one of them at the end of this?
I guess, yeah.
Okay. I like this.
Yeah. I'm retreading a lot here.
Sure.
So, yeah, you know exactly what's going to happen pretty much. Anna Kendrick's going to be really good at the role, and the other two, not so much.
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick is instructed that the person he needs to employ is the person who gets the most tips over their probation period.
Do you tip in a museum generally?
You know, I don't know.
I've never tipped in a museum.
Well, let's just say you do in America.
Sure. I mean, in America, you tip most places. We are notoriously stingy people here in Britain, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, you tip a tour guide, like, for a city tour guide sort of thing, don't you?
Sure, but...
So, maybe?
I've never tipped in a museum in my life.
You been to America?
No, I've not.
Well, there you go.
Well, yeah. But I've been to museums.
Have you been to an American museum?
Well, obviously not. I've
Oh,
never been to
there we
America. Okay, fine. Fine, we'll go with it. Fine. Whoever gets the most tips, great.
Yeah, so all the tips get taken and put into jars in his private office, and when the day comes for him to count them, he sees that the handsome man has actually earned $1 more.
What a shock.
Than Anna Kendrick.
Oh, I see.
So, he takes $2 of Anna Kendrick's tips and pockets them.
Is introverted girl just not even...
She's not in the running.
Not in the running at all?
No. Maybe she quit or something, or I don't know.
So you got rid of her pretty quickly?
Yeah, she's...
Okay. So maybe she, like, couldn't hack the pace and, just resigned, like, very early on.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Maybe she suddenly became a bit outspoken and she was like, well, I don't believe that this is how these bones should be arranged, or something like that. And then the curator's like, shit, she's going to ruin this gig.
Ooh, maybe it turned out, beneath her quiet, introverted facade, she was, like, didn't believe in evolution.
Ah, yes, I
so
like
then
that.
she went on a whole rampage about how it didn't know this was true, and then got fired, obviously. So,
Yeah, sure. She was too Catholic.
She was too religious, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so because Matthew Broderick really doesn't like Anna Kendrick, he thinks that she's going to do really well and maybe even get the curator's job, which obviously he really wants.
Yes, and obviously I'm sure she reminds him a lot of Tracy Flick, his former nemesis.
Yeah, so he's like, right, I'm going to stop this. I like that handsome guy. He's nice to me.
Sure.
So yeah, he does that, and then...
Who's playing the handsome guy?
I don't know who's handsome and could play 20s.
Someone handsome in their 20s?
Dave Franco.
Is he not in his...
Zac Efron.
Zac Efron, sure. I feel like they're both pushing 30, if not there yet, but
So?
maybe, yeah.
Anna Kendrick's 34.
True, do that. Or you could have Liam.
They could all be 30s, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, yeah, fine,
Yeah.
sure. Dave Franco, fine, yeah.
Yeah, just somebody, like, vaguely her age.
Sure. Okay.
I mean, technically it doesn't even need to be vaguely her age, but for the sake of storytelling it is.
Could it be that funny guy who is in a lot of films with Anna Kendrick? What's he called now? He was in a film with Anna Kendrick and Zac Efron.
Seth Rogen?
No. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Did you ever see that film? Adam Devine.
Sure, I do recognise the name.
I think he could play like a Chris Kleiny kind of, likeable dolt, you know what I mean? Like, likeable but not a lot going on upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
That guy.
Yes. Who's he in Glee? No, High School Musical?
Pitch Perfect, I think, which is another Anna Kendrick vehicle, so, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So he could be that.
Yeah, no, he's
got, like,
definitely got that face.
Chris Klein energy, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, Matthew Broderick then announces that the handsome man has won.
Okay.
To which obviously Anna Kendrick is very upset. She's been trying really hard at this. This is going to be her big break. She doesn't have to get into the museum business.
Her big break into the museum industry. Yeah.
Now later that day, Matthew Broderick gets called into the curator's office, where the head of CCTV is waiting.
Head of CCTV. Do you mean maybe the head of security? I don't know if it's got its own department. The head of CCTV. There's a whole department all around CCTV.
As well as Anna Kendrick.
Uh-huh.
And so the head of CCTV says, "You don't know me, but you know my sister. She's your unhappy girlfriend." And Matthew Broderick's like, "What? She's not unhappy, she's fine." And he's like, "Well, that is what you would say, because you only ever listen to your own voice."
Wow. So he's so self-involved that he's never realised that his girlfriend's brother works in the same museum as he does.
Yeah.
Wow, that is impressively self-involved. So great.
And Matthew Broderick says, "Is this the work matter? Why is this happening here in the curator's office?" He says, "Well, me being the head of CCTV," which I'm sticking with.
Sure.
I've noticed that you like to take a lot of women into your office, and your office has a CCTV camera.
Oh, no.
It's quite you doing some particularly dodgy things. Now, cheating on your girlfriend isn't a fireable offence.
Well, having sex with women in work isn't a fireable offence.
Well, sure. Well, I don't know. Well, not by the CCTV guy.
Okay, sure. He's not that. He's not reached that level yet.
But what I caught you doing earlier today is, and he points at a screen which shows video footage of Matthew Broderick stealing money from Anna Kendrick's tip jar.
Okay.
So the curator says,
"You're really struggling with that word, aren't you?"
It's a difficult word.
Hey, you wrote it in.
Shut up.
You could have just said manager.
So the curator says, "So for stealing another employee's tips and intentionally fudging employment data, you are hereby fired."
Ooh.
And the circle continues. So then we cut to about 5 years later. This is where I've stopped writing now, so I'm improving.
Okay, great, cool.
Help.
So we're 5 years on from that. Okay.
Yeah, about 5 or so years later, and he's moved on to another career.
Okay.
And basically the same sort of thing is going to happen again.
Okay, shall we say librarian?
So he's working his way down.
Well, I think that, it's a downward spiral, sure.
Yeah.
Or, he keeps losing jobs. Mm-hmm. Or maybe he's just working in, like, a convenience store.
Yeah.
He's like managing, like, a not Tesco, it's like a Walmart or something.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like he's on a downward spiral.
Oh, then he can manage his old best friend.
Yes, maybe bring him back in, yeah.
Yeah.
That's another good little callback in this film. When Tracy Flick just briefly says, "I wonder if you ever finished that book," and it just cuts to him just like labelling prices of this in a Walmart or something.
Yeah, that was very good.
Great.
Yeah, so maybe he goes on to do that, and he's...
Oh, and maybe the best friend hasn't learned anything, and once again is having an affair with like an underage checkout girl.
Yeah, that totally works.
Yeah. And that checkout girl, he develops an irrational dislike for.
Of course.
And the cycle of him continually being in these weird feuds with just like young girls just continues in perpetuity.
Just again and again and again.
Yeah. They just keep getting younger, and he keeps getting older, and he keeps getting more pathetic. And the jobs keep getting more like irrelevant.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much
that's his
it,
hell of his own making. He's just constantly coming up against these women. He just can't get over his sexism.
And I was hoping to get all the women together at one point.
Okay, like Tracy Flick and Anna Kendrick and
and some sort of a team up effort, but I don't really know to what end.
Sure.
Like, what are they going to do to him? Because I don't know, there's not really much that they could do to him.
Maybe
he loses everything every time.
Okay, so maybe the main film is the whole museum rehash of the first film.
Yeah.
Then he gets fired and he starts working in a mall, and you see maybe the last 20 minutes of the film is you find him he's working in a generic shopping mall in some small town with his
becomes a traffic warden.
Sure, and any kind of like slightly degrading job that he's going to consider a bit beneath him. And like I said, there's always some young up and coming girl that he develops a fixation on. Maybe there's like a post credit where Tracy Flick, his original nemesis, walks into that supermarket or walks into that. I think supermarket works better than like traffic, road.
Yeah.
Just as a customer, just walks in to buy some groceries, and then their eyes meet, and then it's like their eyes narrow, and it's like the original is back. You know?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's totally it.
Okay.
So yeah, instead of election, I decided to call it promotion.
Promotion. Okay. Because that's he's handling promotions.
Yes.
And he ultimately gets demoted in the worst sense in which he is fired. So.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, very good. I like it. So my idea, I've gone for a direct sequel. I'm not sure if I love this title, but what I've come up with is Election to Becoming Tracy Flick. If I think of anything better, I might rejig that. But anyway, this is actually set in 2019, so it's 20 years after the events of the original film.
Sure.
We're bringing Reese Witherspoon back from Big Little Lies. So, for the past 20 years, Tracy Flick has been working very steadily in politics.
Yeah.
At a state level. So, I'm not saying she's running for president. The original film is set in Nebraska. And I think at the end of the film, she's working for like a politician in Nebraska, basically. I think that's how it's supposed to end. So, yeah, she's been working for 20 years, just kind of climbing up that ladder, just overachieving, putting a lot of hard work in. And she's dedicated her life to working as like a campaign manager and a political strategist and all these important roles, basically. And she's very good at her job. And now that there's a new election coming up in 2020, she's determined that this is going to be her time to finally get her shot at running for governor of Nebraska. So state governor, a very high-ranking political role. Unfortunately, while she is extremely hardworking and very good at her job, she still isn't exactly a people person, and people still kind of don't really like her very much. So while she's easily the most qualified to run for governor in her party, the organisers who make those decisions are worried that she's just not likeable enough to win over the voters when it comes to the election. So they hire a PR team to give her a more people-pleasing image makeover. So I'm thinking we'd have a lot of fun with like the idea that she's very straight-laced and kind of quite stiff and, not a lot of fun. This image makeover consultancy team comes in to try and force her to be like more normal and natural and nice, which she doesn't take to very well. So I'm thinking the image consultants can be played by Kristen Wiig and Kate McKinnon. They'd be a fun duo.
Yeah.
Have been before, can be again. And so they're these two image consultants who are brought in to give her this kind of enforced makeover. So the first thing they do is try and like soften her image. She still has the same kind of sensible 90s haircut that she's had for like 20 years, just kind of quite short and a little bit curly at the back. That's like her signature. So they encourage her to, because it's a Midwestern state, they encourage her to kind of get a more of a blow dry, like a big boofed out blow dry kind of hair. And instead of the kind of sensible suits and pencil skirts that she always wears, they put her in brightly coloured jackets and jeans, which she does not.
Yeah.
I don't think this character would like being in jeans. So
No.
Just imagine like Reese Witherspoon's character in this film, but given like ridiculously big hair, lots more makeup, obviously, bright dresses and jeans, just trying to make her look like, I'm just a regular everyday working mom. Right? And she really does not like this in the slightest, but she reluctantly goes along with it because she does understand that this is what it takes to win. And as we discovered in the first film, she would do anything to win because that's what she cares about. She's also in a fairly passionless marriage with a kind of a wealthy lawyer that she met after college. And they have one daughter who they sent away to a very elite private school, and so she very barely sees her. Because I feel like that's what she'd be like. She'd be very like, she'd send her daughter off to do, to be a high achiever and not be the most paternal person in the world.
Yeah.
So these image consultants, they kind of bring the daughter back and they force them to try and come across as more of like a down-to-earth, happy, connected family, which none of them really get on board with in the slightest.
Yeah.
So it's trying to paint her as this like typical working mom who just happens to want to be a politician, which is everything that Tracy Flick is not. Yeah. So the first half of the film is just going to be her like attempts at this makeover, which are very unconvincing and she's not very happy with at all. But she does it. She reluctantly goes along with it, and she does manage to secure the nomination to run for governor for her party. But shortly afterwards, she's horrified to discover that her main opponent from the opposition party is actually going to be Chris Klein.
Oh, okay, yeah.
After high school, he returned to his football career, once his leg healed up. And then he became a popular TV sports pundit at the local level, like a local TV sports pundit. So he's like, everybody loves him. He's still got like zero political experience apart from that one time he ran against Tracy back in high school. So he's utterly unqualified, just as he was the first time around. But he's well liked. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got 3 kids. He's the picture of like the voter-friendly family man. So he's like, once again, history's repeating itself. Everyone loves him. People don't like her very much, and she's just horrified by the idea that it's all going to come around again, basically.
Yeah.
So then she starts like scheming and trying to figure out ways to undermine him, and then they're running this campaign, and he's just obviously being very sweet and clueless and nice, whereas she's kind of trying to dig up dirt on him, of which there is absolutely none, because he's just the nicest person in the world, and it's making her very frustrated. And then even worse, as the campaign kind of evolves, Matthew Broderick comes out of the woodwork and announces he's still like working some nothingy job, but he announces that he is, because at the end of the film it was mentioned how the story of the electoral fraud became like a novelty news story that went all over the state and became like one of those weird little things. So he announces that now the two of them are like in the public eye again running for governor, he's going to write a tell-all book about how Tracy Flick ruined his career, like, kind of similar to your one. It's like that, it's all from his perspective, she's the bad guy, and so he's writing this book that's going to be very unflattering to her. And she's obviously very concerned about this, and so she really needs to get ahead of this scandal. And that's as far as I wrote. So I also need a finish for this, really. But I think the idea is that it's reuniting the three main characters. I don't know, is there room for Jessie in this? I don't think she's going to run. Maybe she's now...
She could be somebody on the side, just sort of down with this sort of thing.
Actually, yes, she could be like a crazed environmental protester.
Yeah.
You know, what are they like? Maybe she's
You've got space for a hacker in this.
A hacker? What's she?
Could she rig an election?
Ooh, okay. So is Tracy Flick going to hire her?
She's working for the Russians.
Well,
she hacks Facebook. She is Cambridge Analytica.
Okay, calm down. Well, I was thinking maybe Tracy Flick goes on the dark web to hire an agency to like dig up dirt on Chris Klein, and it turns out that his sister is actually the foremost like hacker. So yeah, they end up working together even though they don't like each other. And then maybe she feels bad about betraying her brother, but Tracy Flick bribes her, and so I don't know.
Yeah, that works.
Maybe she has like a change of heart at the end and unmasks Tracy. I don't know. But yeah, I guess that brings all of the characters back together. But I just think it'd be funny to have a rerun, but on like a national elections, because it's just like all sequels, it's just bigger and
badder.
Yeah. And I was also thinking that maybe Tracy's husband is like a closet gay, and she didn't really care before because she wasn't really interested in the relationship. But now it's threatening to like come out because. Like,
does he divorce Tracy and get with Chris Klein?
Ooh, that'd be a good twist.
Everybody loves Chris Klein.
Everyone does love Chris Klein. Yeah. I don't really see him as being like a closet gay though.
Well, sure, but maybe he's just like, oh, okay, whatever, yeah, great.
He's very easily talked to. He's just talked into it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's it. She's that ruthless. Tracy Flick is that ruthless. Then she knows her husband's gay. Before all this happened, she was like, whatever, let's just keep up appearances. I don't care. Do what you want. Maybe now she's so desperate to bring Chris Klein down that she tells her husband to seduce him to kind of ruin his reputation, basically. And so that's what he does. And then Chris Klein's so nice and sweet and close that he's just like, okay, sure, why? And then they end up having an affair. But then I guess that's not going to look good for Tracy either if her husband has left her for a man. Like,
no, it's not, is it? No. No, because maybe it's a way of just taking out the competition and just like her husband publicly, he's left her and he's run off, and Chris Klein's no longer part of the election anymore, and so he's just out of the running basically, and so she's got an open election that she can just take.
Okay, yeah, that would work. Or maybe...
And then she runs an election of just like, men are shit, this is what men do. And then all the women vote for her.
Yeah, that could work. So, yeah, actually, maybe that's it. So her husband has an affair with Chris Klein, and then it all comes out, and she's initially humiliated because her husband, all the press know that her husband's gay.
Or maybe Chris Klein doesn't even leave the election, and it's just like, hey, look, this is how bad men are, this is also how bad gay people are.
We're all awful.
Yeah, I mean, that ticks like all the boxes.
Sure.
Everybody's going to vote for her now because that's all of Americans, right?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Maybe
women or heterophobes.
Yeah, homophobes.
Oh, I meant homophobes that time.
I thought you did, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, thank you.
You've even hung up on this heterophobe. It's not a thing, Harry.
I've made up a word and I'm very happy with myself.
Okay, fine. Well.
And it applies to you.
Sure. Well, how would you know?
That's heterophobic.
Yeah, so her husband, I think Tracy Flick's husband has an affair with Chris Klein. It becomes exposed. Yeah, but then Tracy Flick is painted as the victim in the whole situation because like she's just a good, hardworking mother whose husband had an affair with Chris Klein's character. And so, yeah, she ends up finally on the right side of public opinion because everyone feels sorry for her. And she wins the election and finally rises to power. And then, yeah, I guess the credits roll.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Yeah. No, that sounds good.
Not my most inspired idea ever.
Was there a title for it?
Becoming Tracy Flick, but I might need to change that. I don't know if it's really... I don't know, what's a good election style kind of... We can't revisit House of Cards, we've done it too much.
Flick 2019?
Flick 2019, yeah. Well, it'd be Flick 2020, technically.
No, yeah.
Flick 2020 could work, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that works.
Great, okay, cool. Okay, so that's election. I guess we should move on to listener submissions.
Yeah, totally.
So Connor Crehan said Election 2, Russian collusion.
Nice.
Joshua Williams said Election 2, Election Boogaloo.
Oh, I was waiting for that one.
That's a good pun.
Yeah.
Solid pun work there, Joshua.
Yeah.
Ross Ide said Election 2, she's not happy with Trump, but she's still working for him.
Great.
So she's like one of those people who like works with Donald Trump and just has to get on with it. So, yeah, very good. Isaiah Hand said, surely the title has got to be Re-election. Yeah. Laura Oliver Atchison said, impeachment, the downfall of Tracy Flick. So
nice.
It's impeached.
Yeah.
So she just gets a president, but doesn't last. Ryan Klima said, Election 2, Electoral College.
Ooh, very good.
I like that.
Yeah.
Ollie Brady said, Election 2, referendum.
Very good.
Dan Costa had a bit of a long idea. So this is Election 2, make Carver High School great again. It's the present day, and Tracy has done very well for herself. She started a startup business and then sold it for a tidy sum of money, and now she's devoted her time to raising her twin boys. So I guess she's given up her political career.
Yeah.
Become a family woman. To her dismay, they are not as driven as she had been in her high school years. They'd rather chase elderly neighbours with drones than participate in school elections. Tracy finds some inspiration, though, in a young girl named Patty, who she meets while attending a PTA event. She's driven, smart, and running for school president, so Tracy takes her under her wing and starts falling into some of the same unethical behaviour that had lain dormant since she was back in high school. This is an issue for the girl who genuinely wants to do the right thing. Will Tracy conform to an ethical approach? Will Patty be the first sophomore school president? And whatever happens to Jim McAllister? You'll have to find out this summer in Election 2, make Carver High great again. So I guess that's Tracy meets a young girl who was about her age in the first film and I guess kind of pulls her over to the dark side, potentially.
I guess, yeah.
Very good,
Yeah.
very good. Derek Mertz just said, Matthew Broderick dies and everyone laughs. Harsh, but sure.
Yeah, great.
At Contrarian Prime, the Contrarians said, this is on Twitter now, there's no way that the sequel would not involve Reese Witherspoon running for president of the United States and Broderick having to decide if he'll campaign for or against her, with a special cameo by Alec Baldwin playing her Trump-esque opponent.
Very good, yes.
Yeah, I can see that. Obviously, Alec Baldwin has experience there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and Vice Chair 2014 didn't have a sequel, but he did point out this film came out in 1999, and then the 2000 US election pretty much basically mirrored the entire plot of the film. Which I think 2000 might be the one where there was a recount. So yeah, there was America. I can't remember if it was 2000 or 2004, but one of George Bush's elections was really close, and then there was a recount in which he won, obviously, and people to this day claim that it was rigged. So I mean, who knows the truth? So
sure,
interesting. This film, very prophetic, and also
was that Bush and Gore?
Yeah, I think it was Bush Gore.
Yeah.
So I think that was 2000. I can't remember who Bush ran against the second time in 2004, but.
Crikey.
Yep. Anyway, there we go. So yeah, this film preempted that and also predicted, I guess, the career downfall of Hillary Clinton. So very prophetic film.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
So thank you everybody for those sequel ideas. We ask for your listener submissions every week, a few days before we record, by putting posts out on Facebook and Twitter where you can post your ideas. So make sure you like and follow our pages if you don't want to miss out. So just search for Beyond the Box Set on Facebook and Twitter. To listen to more episodes of Beyond the Box Set, you can subscribe and browse our back catalogue on any podcasting platform, including iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and many others, all of which you can also leave a 5-star review, which we both read to lighten our moods on our post-episode hangovers.
It's a thing.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You don't have to tell me that. We're also available on Patreon, which is exclusively for the people who would rate us more than 5 stars if they could. So if you think you're one of those, you can find all those links in the description below or at beyondtheboxset.com. And Harry, next week, we are beginning a new season.
We are. So actually, it's kind of thematic in a similar sense right now that, well, we put this to a vote to all our listeners. It's our Halloween season. We do this every year. We say, hey, listeners, what do you want us to do? And this time we give them the option of ghosts, zombies, or vampires.
Because in the past we've done werewolves and
witches,
yes.
Yeah. So those are ruled out. We're never going to come back to those again.
No, not anytime soon.
Nope, unless we go for many, many years, which, I don't know.
So.
Anyway, it's been a close one.
Okay.
So there were 26 votes in total. No, wait, there were more than that. There were 34 votes in total. 7 votes went to zombies.
Okay.
So we're not doing zombie movies this year.
Another year, maybe.
Yeah. The remaining votes are 13 and 14. It was that close.
Wow, this is really down to the wire.
Yeah, and I did not.
You didn't throw 2 away, no?
No, I didn't do anything.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll trust you.
So 13 goes to ghosts and 14 goes to vampires, which means that we're doing a vampire season.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Right.
So I get the first pick this year for whatever reason. I think that we're probably going to do 2 each. We'll squeeze in a Patreon episode and maybe something else. We don't know.
Sure, we'll figure something out.
Yeah. But anyway, next week I'm going to kick us off with a big one that's been on my list for a while. It is Taika Waititi's What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, good fun. Excellent. Okay.
I know that we've both seen this before, and last time we saw it, you didn't like it, so I'm interested to see what you think now.
Did I dislike it?
Yes, you did.
I can't remember disliking it.
I remember you disliking it.
Was that not when I broke my shoulder? Was I not just in a generally bad mood?
Maybe, yeah.
I think I was just generally grouchy.
Yeah, that does sound right, actually. But yes.
Okay. I will try to like it more.
It's one of those things that you just had an irrational, passionate hate for.
I don't remember that at all, but if you say so.
Yeah, you didn't enjoy it at all.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you brought
it
back to me.
And I found it really weird. Because I was like, this feels great.
Okay. Well, I will do my best to approach it with an open mind.
Yeah. Well, we'll discuss it all more next week, I imagine. So that's the end of not being on a season for a while, which I tell you, it's gone really quickly. It feels
really
like
has. Well,
yesterday we were doing Stephen King.
Packed up a lot of guest episodes in between, so we've not had a lot of like just the two of us time. So
True. Yeah, so please do join us next week. We'll be doing What We Do in the Shadows to kick off our Halloween vampire season.
Indeed. That was my vampire noise.
Yeah, I got it.
Cool. Well,
Great.
Thanks a lot. Join us next week. Bye.
Bye.
Who cares about this stupid election?